You've probably seen the headlines: physicists creating a black hole in the lab, the Earth potentially in danger from such experiments. It sounds like the stuff of sci-fi horror, but what would really happen if we managed to create a black hole here on Earth? Strangely enough, it might be possible, but would it truly be as dangerous as we imagine? When most people picture a black hole, they imagine a giant, dark behemoth, silently swallowing up everything in its vicinity without a trace. But surprisingly, a black hole made on Earth wouldn't actually be as catastrophic as it sounds. The primary reason why this wouldn't be the nightmare scenario we imagine is that any black hole we create here would simply be too small. For a black hole to be destructive, it has to have a significant mass, something difficult to replicate in a lab. To illustrate, if we somehow managed to compress the entire mass of Earth down to the size of an ice cube, that would create a black hole. It's hard to imagine Earth shrunk down to that size, but only then would it collapse under its own gravity and become a black hole with an intense gravitational pull. But even so, a black hole with that mass would still require one crucial factor to be dangerous: proximity. As long as you don't get too close to a black hole, you'd be completely safe. Around every black hole, there is a boundary called the event horizon. Think of it as the ultimate point of no return. If anything crosses this boundary, it is lost forever to the black hole, even light. This is because the gravity pulling objects toward the black hole's center is so powerful, that you'd need to travel faster than light to escape it. And as we understand it, faster than light travel just isn't possible in our universe. In the case of a black hole created in a lab, however, this event horizon would be far too small to cause concern. For instance, if a black hole was created from just 1 kilogram of mass, its event horizon would be 1 trillion times smaller than a proton, essentially microscopic. So far, no black holes have actually been created on Earth, and if we ever do reach the point of creating one in a lab, we can rest easy knowing it won't pose much of a threat. But there's another bizarre question that science fiction often brings up: what would happen if we dug a hole straight through the center of the Earth, and someone decided to jump into it? Ignoring the logistical issues, like the damage to the planet's structure and the massive resources required, let's say this tunnel exists, passing right through the core to the other side. For this to work, you'd have to remove all the air in the tunnel to prevent drag, and you definitely need a space suit, not just for oxygen but to shield yourself from the extreme temperatures of the Earth's core, which would otherwise incinerate you instantly. Now, picture this: you've got your suit on, and you jump in. As you fall, you'd start accelerating, going faster and faster as you approach the center, reaching speeds that go well beyond the speed of sound. But then, as you pass the core and start heading toward the other side, gravity begins to slow you down. It's like a cosmic tug-of-war between opposing forces. Eventually, you'll emerge on the other side with zero velocity, arriving just at the edge, and if you're prepared, you could grab onto something and hop out of the tunnel. If you missed your chance to grab on, though, you'd end up falling back down through the tunnel, repeating the journey over and over in a never-ending oscillation. What's fascinating is how long this whole journey would take: just 38 minutes to travel from one side of Earth to the other. Imagine a future where international travel could be as quick as a short commute. Exploring Earth is captivating, but space has some of the most mind-boggling planets ever discovered. One of these remarkable worlds is a planet often referred to as the Diamond Planet. From the outside, it may appear rather ordinary, but scientists speculate that this planet might have a core completely made of diamond. In space, the saying "pressure makes diamonds" takes on a new meaning. This planet is a hot Jupiter, meaning it's similar in size to Jupiter and orbits very close to its star. This proximity creates blistering temperatures on the planet's surface. And since its atmosphere is rich in carbon, scientists believe that carbon in the planet's core could be pressurized enough to form diamonds. But this glittering core remains hidden, shrouded by thick clouds of methane that absorb nearly all the light hitting the planet. The planet is so dark that it might even be the darkest planet in the known universe. Adding to its strangeness, the gravitational forces between the planet and its sun are so intense that the planet's shape is distorted into an egg-like form. However, its days are numbered. In about 3 million years, the planet will be pulled apart by its sun, meeting its ultimate fiery demise. It's astonishing to think of a whole world filled with diamonds and yet destined for destruction. Meanwhile, closer to home, we've captured some awe-inspiring images of our own galaxy and beyond, thanks to the Hubble Space Telescope. One of Hubble's largest accomplishments is an image of the Andromeda Galaxy, our galactic neighbor. While it may look like a simple picture of a galaxy, this image actually contains a staggering 1.5 billion pixels, detailing over 100 million individual stars, stretching across 40,000 light-years of space. It's hard to grasp the sheer scale of such an image until you realize that each tiny dot of light in the photo is a massive star, much like our sun, often surrounded by its own collection of planets. Speaking of staggering distances, space has some truly chilling realities. Imagine floating alone in the vast darkness between galaxies, with no stars, no planets, and no light in any direction. Just an infinite, empty void stretching on for incomprehensible distances. If you were there, you would experience a level of isolation beyond anything on Earth, a level of darkness and emptiness that's hard to comprehend. The idea of being alone in such a place is enough to make anyone shudder. Now, hypothetically, let's say our sun transformed into a black hole. What would that mean for us? Surprisingly, not much in terms of gravity would change. Since the mass would be the same, Earth and the other planets would continue orbiting it just as they do now. The Sun would, however, shrink from a blazing ball nearly 700,000 kilometers across to a black hole just 3 kilometers wide. Earth wouldn't be pulled into the black hole, but we would be plunged into perpetual darkness and intense cold, as the sun's light and warmth would be gone forever. Space also teaches us that time travel, in a way, is already happening. The speed of light, while incredibly fast, has limitations. It takes time for light to travel through space. When we look at a planet 500 light-years away, we're not seeing it as it is now but as it was 500 years ago. Similarly, if aliens are out there observing Earth from 65 million light-years away, they would see a planet populated by dinosaurs instead of humans. To them, Earth is frozen in a distant past, each light-year acting as a snapshot in time. And among the most iconic images of Earth is one taken by the Cassini spacecraft on July 19, 2013. People knew in advance about this photo and gathered to wave at the camera, creating a collective moment where Earth posed for its own portrait from millions of miles away. There's even a humorous reminder of humanity's presence on the moon. In addition to rocks and scientific instruments, astronauts left behind bags of waste, including human waste. It's odd to think about, but these remnants of early space exploration are now part of the moon's landscape. And finally, let's consider the vast, remote oceanic point known as Point Nemo. Located in the middle of the South Pacific, Point Nemo is the most isolated place on Earth, over 3,500 kilometers from the nearest inhabited land. It's so remote that astronauts on the International Space Station, orbiting hundreds of kilometers above Earth, would be closer to you than any other human. This spot is so isolated that space agencies have chosen it as a graveyard for decommissioned satellites and spacecraft. When the ISS eventually reaches the end of its life, Point Nemo will be its final resting place, joining a growing collection of abandoned satellites, scattered across the ocean floor. Space, and our presence in it, continues to astound and challenge our perceptions. These moments, facts, and discoveries give us insight into the incredible scale, beauty, and mystery of the universe around us.